Affordable housing issues made headlines for Twitter posts this week. Speaking of, first, a proposed facility for the homeless lost its bid to be built on federal land in Lakewood. Meanwhile, 9 News reported that 300 of the over 1,500 homes in Denver's affordable housing program are breaking some sort of covenant, and many will need to move and sell at a loss. We're getting towards the end of the show, Penn, but let me know what you think about either one of these pretty big issues.
Well, both are important issues, and as a community, we need to understand we are behind the 8 ball in terms of affordable housing. I'm not talking about subsidized low-income housing. I'm talking about affordable housing for working families and individuals. We don't have enough of it, and if you want to see a quick cratering of our economic boom, stay behind the curve this much longer on this affordable housing issue. It's unfortunate that the Lakewood initiative lost because it was desperately needed. The Denver piece is puzzling, only because when I look at the reaction of the city, I'm glad they have the program, but for them to say buyer beware is a concern. They ought to be tracking this to make sure that title companies and sellers and buyers are all aware of these restrictive covenants in terms of pricing. Otherwise, you're not going to have an affordable housing program that survives. So both of these are important stories because housing is so vital. We need to keep an eye on this.
John, the blame is probably going to a variety of areas for these houses, whether it's realtors or title companies or everything in between. But does the affordable housing program in Denver suffer from a credibility problem when you see headlines like this?
Well, for sure. I mean, the mayor had a 5-year plan to roll out affordable housing, and this sets that back tremendously. I mean, when you lose 300 homes out of that potential pod, and there's shenanigans going on with them, somebody's got to take the blame for this. And great story by 9 News by getting that out. And somebody's, the buyers are going to suffer. The people who are selling are going to suffer. This is a major issue, and the city has got some work to do on this one.
Patty, where does this go from here?
Well, the city will, I think, have to really tie down the next $15 million it wants to put into affordable housing and make sure they can track the way everything is done and go back and audit the way it's been done over the last 15 years, because many of these deals are 10 years old and they just went south. The Lakewood situation is sad because under the McKinney Act, surplus federal property, there's an option for the homeless and homeless providers to bid on it. They put in a bid. It obviously needed to be worked on because it's a vast project, but the need is there. And if you want to see how well things work and how the homeless don't necessarily affect your bottom line, look at Lowry. That's the last big area where the McKinney Act made affordable and homeless housing possible. And I don't see Lowry's property values suffering.
David, wrap it up for us.
Affordable housing, as it is sometimes called, means specially subsidized housing for a small number of lucky people, whether that's with a direct government subsidy or indirectly through development rules that the city imposes. That only helps a few, and as we've seen today, those few sometimes turn around, flip the place, and sell it for a big profit. Affordable housing in the real world is dependent on just the market being able to provide at prices that middle-class people or others can afford the housing without having to have special government intervention. And that's a matter of zoning laws and construction codes that too often impede the ability of companies to build houses that people want to buy and can afford.